This is a pile of my practice books, and I thought I would use them to talk through what I look for in a book that I'm going to alter and show you some things that are really easy for you to look for when you go shopping. This is a book that I'm going to start on today. It's an old textbook that was given to me by a friend whose father was a doctor. Probably the first thing that I look for in a book is size. This is a good size for me. I like to work big, and you can see that this is a practice book that I've been working in for several years. It's about the same size. And then this book, just a little bit smaller. This is probably bigger than you'll work. Most people like to work smaller than this. Some people like to work really small. So this is a personal preference thing. Choose a size that you're going to feel comfortable working in. The next thing that I look at is paper quality. Do the pages feel good to me? I like pages that feel like they have a lot of cotton in them. They're very soft but sturdy, and they just have a really nice feeling under my hand. They're not hard, they're not brittle, just a really nice feeling. And for me, that generally means a book that is older. Then we get to the really important stuff. Most books that you want to use for altering should have a sewn spine. So the first thing you want to look for is this piece of tape right here, which is called the headband. You want to make sure that it's nice and soft and loose. And if you look very closely, you can see scalloped ridges where the pages are attached to the headband. Each one of those scallops is called a signature, and that refers to the folded pages that are sewn to the spine. So you can see the scallops here. It's really easy to figure out where each signature is. That's a good sign. I also like a little looseness between the spine and the book block. So if I can slide my finger in here, that's a good thing. Then we talked about signatures. I generally look for the beginning and the end of a signature. Just kind of give it a little tug and see if it's loose. See how the stitching is. And you want to look for the center of a signature, which is sometimes a little difficult to find. But when you do find it, you'll see stitches running up and down at the spine of the book. Here's the center of this one. And you can see, you can see the stitching right here. See the threads right here and right here? This is a sewn spine, and that's a good thing. You want it to be sewn rather than glued, because the sewing is going to make for a really sturdy book that will hold up to the abuse that an altered book will take. So let me just show you on these. So this is my old practice book that has been beat to heck. Very loose, really easy to stick a finger in here. A nice taped headband, and you can see the signatures. Now let's look at some books that maybe aren't so great. This is just a little novel, and you can see the headband here, but it's very tight. You can't really bend the headband away from the spine very easily, and you can't really see the scallops of the signatures here. It looks like really it's just in sort of clumps. And then when you open it up, which this isn't something that I would necessarily do in a store, but can you hear that sound, that kind of crunching sound? That's the glue popping away from the inside of the pages near the spine. And when you look closely, rather than stitching, what you see is attachments. This is a glued spine, and the problem with glued spines is that the pages really want to pop away from the spine if they're worked too much. So opening and closing, putting pressure on the spine by adding things into it, it's going to cause the pages to pop away from the spine, and you'll end up with a book that falls apart. Here's another one, and this one you can see doesn't even have the tape here. It just has a piece of cardboard, and you can kind of see scallops up against it, but you can see a little line of glue between the cardboard headband and the pages. And again, when you pop it open, you don't see stitches, you see glue along here. This book is going to fall apart, oh gosh, the moment I start altering it. So not really a great book for altering. And here's another one that's a little larger. This is again a novel. No fabric headband, very flat. You can't really see signatures, and kind of that crunchy feeling. And you can see right here glue. So I would put this back. Even though it was only 50 cents, I would put it back. And generally what I buy books like this for is text pages. Since they're going to fall apart easily, why not tear them apart and use them for background papers? So these are not books to alter, these are books to tear apart. One of the reasons I'm so concerned about the type of book that I alter is evident in this book. This is a sewn spine book that I used for a round robin, and you can see that it's had quite a few pages removed. I removed about 50% of the pages from this. Even so, this book is, here, turn it on the side. This book is very swollen, and you can see how much pressure the altered sections put on the spine. I probably could have removed 3/4 of the pages from this book, which would have spread out the altered section even more, because what we have here is what happens in round robin books. A chunk at the beginning that is altered, and then a chunk at the back that is unaltered. So I probably could have removed even more from this book. And I'm going to talk about removing and preparing books for altering in another video. But this is just an illustration of how much pressure is put on the spine and why it's so important that you get a book that's going to hold up under the pressures of altering, because there's a lot of stress going on here, and a glued spine would just pretty much explode and fall apart.